Us really have any idea what's going on.
Other than, hey gang, get your wallet out because it's time to be enabled. Welcome to 2026.
Jaymi and Amber jambereeing about one of their two of their favorite things.
Or three, depending how, well, I can't 6 fingers, but 3 things. Bump, bump, bump. Yeah, so
Well,
thank
Jaymi,
you, Karen,
happy
for being here.
2026.
Right, we're 5 days into it.
We made it.
Woo! 1 dumpster fire into maybe another, but we ain't going to talk about the world or our personal lives or anything like that today.
This is a safe place.
Well, I should have said that out loud, but yeah, it is a safe place.
Yes. So, leading up to this, the switch of the Gregorian calendar into the new year.
Oh, yes. Yes.
There becomes, leading up to it, probably starting like in November, I really start thinking about going, okay, what things do I want to keep track of? How do I want to keep track of them? And for a long time, I've always preferred analog tracking over digital stuff anyhow. But then it's just like refining it and how to do it. And I used to just have there was a time where I just had like 2 books. One was just a general, anything I wanted to throw in there.
As I look around my desk.
Yeah. And then I had a separate one like as a tarot journal. That just doesn't work for me. As I started getting more projects going on and more things coming in and needing to keep track of them.
Yep.
Just trying to put everything in one general. It's not working, because then trying to go back and find what I needed was, I would just
it's a nightmare.
Start over again. Right. So, and then even keeping, a tarot journal, a separate journal just for tarot. I'm not doing that this year. No, it's melded into other things. And also because then that also takes the stress off of it. I have released all stress of any type of daily practice, whether it's journaling, dream journaling, tarot, because it's too much stress. I don't need any of that extra enough pressure on myself. So, that's where this kind of evolved to. And people are going to laugh when they see my stack. But we call these an ecosystem because they can change.
Yes. And I like the ecosystem. I also like the term. I have a planner. I have 2 planners, I should say. I have the paper-based planner, but I also have my Google Calendar or my, e-cal, I'm pointing both ways because I have devices and stuff, because I do need an electronic system. I will say there are some things because I like keeping notes either on print, but I also will digitize them when I'm going to refer to them on the computer. But I also, we'll get into it. The laughable thing is Amber showed me her notebooks. She can hold it up. I can't. This is Amber's.
This is my ecosystem.
That's her ecosystem.
Yeah.
And mine is all over my desk. I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 different journals right now, or notebooks right now. So Karen came in and we started talking early about stuff. Right now, I love that she had said 2 books, a tarot journal. My addiction is laughing. Same, Karen. But she also mentioned, do you have the same problem I have with needing to make notes in a book with a certain size with a certain type of paper and a certain and colored ink, or is that just me? Yeah, no. We have ecosystems. We have ecosystems, and we're going. I don't know. Do we want to go? How are we going to do this by project? But I guess my original point is that I've got the planners, but I like to call the rest of my notebooks playbooks.
Yeah.
Playbooks for projects, playbooks for, I do a lot of, I'm doing a lot of 365 day, or in this case, 366, type books where I go in, like today's the 5th. a calendar for the year, try this, and I write down what I've done, or, the message about it and all that. So I like doing, that sort of play. And to me, you can use any type of planner or notebook that's got at least 366 pages in it. But we'll get into that in a hot minute. So how do you want to do this, Amber?
Well, I think just in general, let's just kind of, talk a little bit more, because we know, like,
Mhm.
how we set these up, it's not a perfect system. It's an
No.
organic system, which means that they can
Mhm.
grow, expand, or things be deleted as what's
Mhm.
suiting us for what we're working, and individually. Um, the key, is be willing to let go of things, right? And allow yourself
Mhm.
that space. And if you have paired the the quintessential, your favorite, like Esterbrook pen, with a journal that just is buttery soft, and the cover matches the color of your pen, and the ink, I know, and it's like the vintage Tomoe River paper, and the ink
Mhm.
is just smooth flowing, like, diamine, and it's just brilliant. Then all of a sudden you go, this ain't working.
And it happens. I mean, okay, so I fell back into fountain pens and notebook, like actual notebooks, after I stole one of Amber's fountain pens, because
Mhm.
she handed
This is
me one
true.
of her pens. It was an extra fine nib, and it worked for this southpaw. Now, fountain pens and me had a storied history where I couldn't get them filled, or they just wouldn't write for me because I was using the wrong nib, and I didn't realize that back in the day before YouTube and all this stuff. So I also took a class. I think it was Sea Grape Apothecary or someone else that talked about keeping a writing grimoire, or just a notebook of, it's kind of like the commonplace idea of just, you take notes about topics and stuff. And woohoo! Hey, Anne, it's our favorite gremlin. We're talking notebooks and notebook systems and pens today. So, Amber, I stole the pen from Amber. Basically, I licked it, and it was mine. And Amber, said, "I don't want my spit." And then set up a writing grimoire, and I fell deep into the rabbit hole of notebooks in 2000 or 2024. And then I have not been doing stuff, I haven't come up. I go deep. I go deep
It's
hard.
not go for air since.
Yeah, have not. But the cool thing is that I have figured out. I didn't bring, because it's over that way, but I actually have a notebook, and I also set up a Trello board of what notebooks I like and how I like to use them. And I've narrowed it down to basically kind of one size, but I'm still in between because I'm trying to use up all the other sizes. So for me, that's kind of how I fell back into fountain pens and notebooks and stickers and all this other stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got back into all this. But I mean, even then, I was still writing, I was still doing stuff. I took in a hiatus and was on, tablets doing, notebooks,
Right.
but I'm
And,
back.
and for me, it was the realization that I have several creative pursuits. I have several, personal, practical life pursuits, and they all require a different type of thinking, and therefore they require a different type of journal or a different type of record keeping. Um,
Yes.
so to be able to switch and pick up one and just be like, um, okay, I've got to, be mindful of, the media that I'm consuming. So media consumption journal, boom. But then I'll be like, okay, I just got this amazing idea for this book that I'm writing, and boom. So then just,
Hmm.
but then it's easy to go to that one, because having something separate helps my mind and my creative energy go to that particular thing,
Hmm.
and be focused, more focused for that. And then, yeah, I mean,
And
we have our everyday carries that are just like anything random. If I hear a word or a phrase, And I'm like, ooh, that might be good to work into a story or something. I can just, throw it down in there, and then I can put it where it needs to be. So it becomes like a catch-all.
So what I love is Anne's like, how many notebooks is too many, asking for a friend, and that friend is Amber. Well, Anne, what you haven't seen, and I'll send this to you post-show, is that Amber did show her set. She's going to hold it up again. She's going to hold it up again. So here's her stack. This is her current notebooks
2026
lineup. My desk is littered with at least 11 to 12 different current in use planners, notebooks, playbooks, things that I'm doing. So yeah, too many notebooks, demon be gone. Well, her daily carry is something like mine. So let's talk about this everyday carry. The everyday carry for me and Amber right now is, well, this one's a little bit smaller, but I'm going to like the pocket Leuchtturms, but also the field notes style. So this is a field note style notebook. They're 3.5 by 5.5. And I carry a little slim guy around, and the reason why I started doing this guy was because I also want to try out, I left social media at the beginning of 2025. Goodbye, gone, just cut myself off. So now when I hang out with friends or something, I pull this little guy out, or the variant, I take this with the pen. And so this is my everyday kit.
Yes, and the traveler's passport size, yeah.
So first thing I do is I always put my Grimoire invocation on here, which I can paste at the end of this or something. And then I date it. So this one started on the 24th of December, and it started with a quote about live in the truth of your mental state, And so I also put check marks at the bottom for if I've migrated or done the thing with it. And when I do it, I change a colored pen and I say, this is why I wrote this down. And in some cases, wanted to have this thing captured here. These are some notes about a new music service, Cubos, and something that my friend Anna Alexander said, I need a fortune-telling sheepy. So I just noted that and wrote it down, etc. If I migrate it to something like I added this particular Rachel Pollack quote that I got from a certain friend, not naming names, Amber, I know when I added it, and stuff. But yeah, this is, if you're sitting with me at a meal and I whip this out, it's because you've said something I want to record, or it's made me remember something. And I tend to, right now I've got just a Uniball 1 P, the fat guy, the little fat one, because it's nice. I tend to put cheap pens in here because sometimes they fall out. But I also bought this rickshaw case, which is perfect for Leuchtturm size 3.5. It's got a little skelly patch on it, and it's got pockets to where you can hold your pen, put some business cards in that journal. It even hold an iPhone 15. I've got other stuff in here, So this stays predominantly in my purse. This does not go anywhere, that I'm not. Sometimes I forget the pen, but, I take this with me out. And once a week or so, or if I'm sitting here doing stuff and I want to, record in the everyday carry, that's when I mitigate it to Apple Notes or whatever system, whatever other project I'm working on that might be electronic. If I want to keep it electronic, that's when I do it and hit that check mark. What about yours, Amber? What's your everyday? Oh, Karen, for everyday carry, right now it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, for everyday carried, it does not work. I'm trying to get rid of as many of these for the Leuchtturms. However, and this will come up in all of my journals, is I like numbered books. So everyday carry doesn't have it, but I like lined, kind of lined or dot grid for the most part. But Leuchtturms have page numbers. They have an index, so yeah, dot grid or lined is my preference.
For me, it's blank or dot grid.
when I start doing blank, my writing goes this, downhill. It starts, I'm a lefty, but
Well,
Amber's a
the
righty,
critical
right?
thing. I cannot. Yeah, I mean, give me a pair of scissors, and I cannot cut a straight line. But dang, give me a blank piece of paper, and it stays pretty nice and straight. So
Although I will say I've gotten pretty good with this, but as you can
pretty
see,
level. Yeah.
it's not consistent. When I get really excited, I
Here we
start,
go for notebooks. Oh, and
let's see here, a lot of different places. I go jet pens, but I also, when I break out all my other stuff, I'll let you know. I've got some links for you, and
yeah,
I'll
I
try and
like
include all
Atlas
links.
stationers.
Yep,
Quite a
Atlas
bit. It's a small
stationers.
business. I try to go to for small business first. There is in downtown Olympia, there is a wonderful art shop called Olifant, and that's my first place to go
Hmm.
to see if they have what I need, and then I'll check Atlas
Yeah,
because even though they're shipping, um, they're on the other side of the country. I said
yeah,
a
that's
small
yeah.
business that I know and I trust, and I've been there personally and interacted with the owners and all.
Mhm.
So it feels really good to be able to support Atlas.
Yeah.
Um,
I do jet pens a lot just because they're West
Jet
Coast.
Plans is
Um,
great.
but I have two Pac Northwest local notebook folks when we start scaling up in size that I will. I I
We stay
stopped
away from
doing.
Goulet. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, stopped doing. I mean, Goulet was great. They
Goulet,
do
yeah.
carry they do carry some stuff that Atlas doesn't have, or a lot of the different,
Right.
smaller, pen places don't carry. So, like for the Jin Hao Shark pen, you kind of got to go there because a lot, like Atlas doesn't have it, I don't think. And I know that Gold Spot, which is another favorite of mine, which is they're in Nevada. If that uh, says anything about who they are as a belief structure. I think Amber's going to be posting it in chat, but I stopped going after I heard about their politics slash preferences for certain people. Yeah, Goulet's not. I'll just say it. Goulet's not kind to queers. I'll
Yeah.
just say it.
Yeah.
So I don't, yeah.
The other
They're.
place I like Fountain Pen Revolution. They tend
Mhm.
to have a good selection and supply of notebooks. But we can let's see. I was gonna put
I
I was gonna
I
put some links down in here for people.
Yeah. I also like what's the other one? Gold Spot I like, but again, they're East Coast. Yoseka is another good East Coast company for notebooks and pens and other stationery stuff. Um, there's one more that I tend to shop at, and I can't remember their damn name because brain is, oh, well, maybe your friend has more insight. And if they do, please tell us because as of this recording, as far as I know, Goulet doesn't jive with how I want to spend my money. So, yeah.
And it's not that I'm not trying to be like cancel culture about it because I don't necessarily
yeah,
adhere to cancel culture. It's just personal preferences.
yeah,
You know,
agreed.
it's the same thing. Like I get so enchanted by everything from Ferris Wheel
Mhm.
Press, right? They've got some really interesting things they do, but I have pulled back from them because they have now aligned with J.K. Rowling, and I
Yeah,
can't do that personally.
same.
So
Um, Karen says I have to depend on home delivery for just about everything. So yeah, rabbit holes for Archer and Olive, which I do have an Archer.
100%.
This is an A5 Archer and Olive notebook. It's one of their blackouts, so it's all black paper. However, I have not used this yet. I brought it out mostly for size comparisons, as we'll see. But God, there's so many good. Ablation stationers down here in
Inflation is
Portland are
good.
pretty
Yep.
good. Ablation's good, so I try and support them. Support local when you can and then move out. I do a lot of comparison, so I'll look at like everybody's online stores and see what they have or don't have.
And just for people that are in the US to be aware of, is
Mhm.
that there are more countries that are not allowed to ship to us currently.
Yes.
So just be mindful of that when you're looking. You might want to just find out, hey, are you able to ship to the United States at this time? Um, so just something to keep in mind when you're doing that, because I've got no problem with people obtaining what they need from where they need to. I don't gatekeep
Yeah.
any of that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, there's huge rabbit holes for a lot of stuff. Quite, I mean, like, yeah, you can go to your different favorite brand places and see who sells and all that. But it's right now we're trying to just focus on the ecosystems, or analog ecosystems, because otherwise we're going to be here all day, which isn't fine. But I know that we have another thing that we got to get to at noon. But so, where were we in our journey? Oh yeah, you were going to talk about your everyday carry.
Oh yeah. Well, and that that again, I have it in something a little more sturdy than just the plain old field notes back, because
Yeah.
I need it, because this will get thrown
Hmm.
around a lot.
Yeah.
Um, it's got a pen holder on it.
Yep.
Yes, right now it has a fountain pen on it. It doesn't
Oh,
always.
and
Yeah, and the
I
pocket.
love these. And I love these pocket stickers, where you can put ephemera or business cards. So, yeah, recommend all that.
Um, and yeah, and part of I didn't always carry one. I tended to use my phone a lot, but again, in wanting to really be more analog and not have the phone in my hand for every little thing. It's faster. It's quicker for me to jot a note longhand than it is to pull out a phone and type it in there. I also don't want to like be, like randomly walk around with my phone, just like speaking notes into my phone. It's not always appropriate.
Although it is when you're driving, because I've done that when I wanted to capture notes for books or projects. I will use the voice memos. So when you're driving, use your phone. When you're not driving, use paper.
But yeah, and part of that, and I can share with people here. And part of how this everyday carry, and Jamie and I call them our Safeway lists, and that is a fun thing, because in doing some research, yes, say doing some research for the tribute issue that the Cartomancer did, we came across. I was looking, had access to some of Rachel Pollack's notebooks and things and journals, and in the middle of her writing and outlining a novel and doing these very intricate world building things, there would randomly, on like the opposite page, and usually like cattywampus, be this little thing that said Safeway list. And she'd have her little 4 or 5 item grocery list in there, and it just cracked me up that in the middle of this immense thing that was going on in her
Mhm.
creativity mind, that all of a sudden it'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, this is what I have to get this store. So that's how it became known as our Safeway lists. And just again,
Well,
just those random things that
yeah.
pop up that we're like, oh yeah, we got to remember this, or oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I can change this, and yeah.
Hmm. And I have a specific one that as you can see, it's called the Safeway list, and I kind of quickly, shared stuff. But this is anything that Amber would be like, Jamie, take a note. And I'd be like, okay, Safeway list, got it, but it's stuff like, I've got stuff here that says like deck and spread club in the bath. The popcorn, Pinot, pillows, and panties. Let's see
That's
here.
a
Another,
reasonable shopping list.
yeah, but the last boomer, not a Russian sub. And then one of our favorites that we use, it puts the epinephrine in the fountain pen. I can't remember, just in case you need it, you've got
Yes,
it.
yes, and that
But
I know exactly what the birth of that one was, and that is because I have discovered that I
oh,
have
yeah,
really
that's
bad
right.
reactions to artificial sweeteners,
That's right. I remember
and
now.
yeah, yeah, and I was
So
happened to be talking to Jamie at one point, going, "Oh God, my tongue's swelling up, my tongue's tingling, my lips are tingling."
and I was
She's
like,
like, "What do you got?" I was like, "I've got a fountain pen." I'll put the
so we're
epinephrine in
like,
the fountain pen. Boom.
So, but yeah, it's non sequiturs that we hope that, when somebody goes through at least my journals, because I do keep them. I don't. Some people I know, like Lisa Robertson, whenever she does a book or a project, she will just burn everything related to that, delete all the stuff after the book comes out. I can't. I have thought about it, but I can't. So, but I love these non sequitur like notebooks I have that have these random crap in it. Like I remember once in one of my writer like college notebooks, I have the line, "Chicken loco," poultry gone crazy. Just random crap that I've either never forgotten or will eventually use for stories or ideas. So these little everyday carries are just
Yeah,
fun for
see,
all
I
sorts of
absolutely love
stuff.
that. 100%. I support that.
Yes, yes, I love that. Agatha Christie had notebooks in every room of her house. One of the first things Amazon back in the day in like 95 or 96 when there were still just books, they used to send bookmarks, or I have an actual Amazon magnet on my fridge. A room without books is like a house without a soul or something, and that's, yeah, I've got notebooks everywhere. My tablet's in here. I keep at least 5 at my desk. I've got more in my room, and the one I keep in my purse. So yeah, they get used.
Yeah, because the
Everything,
last
you
thing I
got to
want
have
to do
something.
is like be, like in the kitchen doing something, an idea come for me, and have to drop everything and go run to get a pen or paper or
Or go to
something, or
or
if like
go to
my
the
phone's not
computer.
close enough, or yeah, yeah.
I mean, a lot,
So
it's like, at night I have a journal there just because I get ideas at night, and I either, well, my phone's there for the alarm, but for the most part, I have to write something down. That's how the Triple Goddess Tarot by me and Franco Ravelli published with Lo Scarabeo happened. Is I asked the goddesses and Lilith, please tell me what type of deck you want, and the majors fell out in the middle of the night.
yeah, yeah, no, those middle of the night things, you got to be ready for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we go up by size or do we go by project at this point?
Why don't you go by project? What are some things we kind of talked about the everyday carry, and I talked a little about how I have one for my media consumption. Um,
Yeah.
and then like by project, do you find that your notebook size changes by project, or do you stay about the same size because you have a size of your
Kinda. Well, yeah. So, like I said, right now I'm in the middle of trying to clear out some of the bigger notebook sizes. So I'll go with the biggies, I guess. So this is so I should probably grab both. This is a composition notebook. Most Americans will know that this is like a 6x9 notebook. And this one happens to be from a summit last year that I did called Write Your Own Way, which I'm not even done taking notes. And the tabs on top are for each day. There's one more day, and I'm still on day 3. But yeah, so I've got, this guy right here. But because I wanted to play with better paper, I've got a Kokio Campus for my writing grimoire. So this is the one. These don't have numbered pages. So as you can tell, I've had to write the page numbers down, plus make a index to talk about all the stuff that I'm, doing in this. But yeah, like if I see websites or other things, I'll make a note of the date and I'll write down, summarize it. Like this was about how to market yourself without feeling gross from creativebloom.com. So this is a good thing. And I also, again, because it's one thing to write down notes, but it's another, to really make this useful, it's, make, like a day or two later, different color, you add in like why you wrote this down. These are good ideas for me to try with my tarot readings and courses or other books, etc. I'm a type 4 in the Enneagram world. So I wrote this type 4 thriving in a corporate world thing. And, like I'm looking at possibly getting another day job. So, hey, look, I want to try this if I ever go back to the corpo world, so it's just, good idea, stuff that I want to, do, or, I wrote an article or I wrote notes from how to step off the comparison wheel. And this gave me 6 different steps. And I'm looking at this and it says, I'm horrible about comparisons. I'm doing it to myself consistently and constantly. This article gave a ton of insight and actual ways for me to step off that train. Here's to applying it in 2026. Well, guess who's going to be, holding this, and yeah, but when I'm done with these, sometimes I'll, if I haven't logged it into the computer, I have a thing in the back that I just kind of, stash it up there. But because I've got the index, if I need to go back to it, my writing grimoires, I can. I can go back and say, oh, I need this note. And once again, I've got that invocation. Every notebook I have will have that invocation. This guy, like I said, this one's a playbook. This is, obviously it was from the Write Your Own Way Summit. And I keep a lot of notes about that. I've kept, so this is where I have a system. All my notes are in black. All my thoughts are in black. I use highlighters, where is it? Or other things to, mark, either star or do stuff. Blue, let's see if I can find a blue in here. Blue is exercises. Green is insights, or if somebody has responded to something I've done, I will write in green. So that is how I've got, my color pen system, Karen, is black for the initial, blue for exercise, green for spirit, and then I do have a purple for other times, so I only use 4 color pens. This is another playbook, my therapy notes. Now, my therapy notebook has gotten kind of weird because it's not just therapy, it's also now my therapeutic, my therapy journey notes. Here's my key. My thoughts, again, in black. My primary therapist is Crystal, so she gets purple. My psychiatrist gets blue. And anything dealing with the relationship is green. So coming up, I have green, and I'm not using fountain pens. I'm using the friction so I can erase in case I need to with these. And I've got get in loser. We're going to therapy, and therapy is not enough. I need to bite people stickers, so I do decorate it. But as you can see, I'm working on different boundaries and stuff. I've found that there's especially in dating, there's 6 or 7 different categories. So there's physical, sexual, emotional, spiritual, financial, time, and non-negotiables. So I wrote those in blue because those are exercises that I want to do and put on note cards. But then again, I use those color. Again, black is for my thoughts. So even during the session, I will write black, notes. Here's a relationship thing where it's all in green. And then I've got black notes, down there. So if I write in a black, that's my thoughts. If it's green, it's a relationship therapist. If it's purple, that's Crystal. If it's blue, just, again, so you can remind yourself, of stuff. Let's see here. So I'm trying to use up these big ones. My favorite size is a B6. These are to show most American stores sell an A5. This is even A5, the 2026 Seasons of the Witch. This isn't really technically a planner. This is a spiritual guide. I read if you read this is going to become a blueprint for the future. That's what this book actually is, but it is a A5 size. So a B6 looks like this. It's a little, so
yeah.
And then this is an A5 size, or A6 size. A6. So I bought some A6s because I thought these guys would be good as pocket notebooks. No, I don't like these guys as notebooks. pocket notebooks, although they're small. But this one obviously is for the Jamber'ee. So I'm trying to use up my little A6s. But these B6 sizes, I have two different
How
companies.
obsessive are we about the actual pens? How does it feel in your hand? Yeah, very,
Yes,
quite.
very. Which is what, okay, so last year I tried to use an 8.5 by 11 planner from the Ritual. I used the Ritual planner. I stopped in August. Some yes, and however, this this is where we get to the Pac Northwest locals. This is a B6 from Wonderland 222. This is just a simple notebook that you can turn into a planner if you want, but it's got the Great Tomoe River paper. It's got page numbers on it. And these are. It also has an index, a key if you do like the bullet planner stuff, and an index. And it also has two ribbons if you like the ribbons. I don't, but another company that I really like that I have two different styles from is Aura Estelle, and they make an undated B6 daily. And this is, I grabbed a bunch of these before the tariffs. So it has a week on one side. So you can do like a Hobonichi week, which is this slim size, which has, look, it's us, Jamber'ee, which has like the dates on one side and like a blank paper, on the other. But it's in B6 size. Like I'm trying to use this guy up. God, my cats really have shed it all over this. But I found that the stuff that I want to do in a daily, like just my everyday planner, really needs B6. So
yeah, we got a couple questions here. Do you know if does Oblation carry B6? Because I know
I
only
think they
Content
do.
Atlas do. Okay, so Oblation does,
Yeah.
and they're in Portland.
Yeah, Ablation carries Stalogy and some other brands. But again, this is a company from British Columbia, but they now have a U.S. carrier down here, so they're Pac Northwest based. But it also has undated like dailies, and they also this one doesn't have dated, but their new one does. Nope, the new ones don't. These guys don't have. This is a 2026, so again, you've got a week, but then you've got these daily pages. And these are good for both planners and journaling and tarot, as well as doing the 365 stuff. And I like getting undated just for the fact I don't know when I'm going to use these things. So I've collected quite a massed amount of notebooks from Aurora Estelle and Wonderland. They have different thicknesses. This one only has 365, but they have 500 page as well that I like. And they have Tomoe or equivalency paper to it, so there's all of that. So that's the size I prefer, but I found it by just testing things out. Again, that 8.5 by 11 reminded me I wanted something smaller. The A5 to me is just a little bit too big for me these days. So I go with a B6. Again, this is a little small for me. It really is. The A6 was too small. And so when I found the B6 stuff, I glommed onto it like you wouldn't believe. So this is A6 and a B6. So I tend to prefer that. And yeah, I can use my friction on it. I can use my fountain pens, any type of pen. Most people will do what is known as a pen test in their back. They'll take like the last two pages, and I don't have it in this one, but do a pen test. I think I have one in this guy. Yeah, pen tests. So like you can see the different, I put the different, the pen name, what the thing is. I put like,
I'm
highlighters.
Because there are times when Jaymi and I get together and, I'll just pull out a random book. And like the last few pages of my journals are usually just us randomly testing whatever new pen the other one got. And we did have up in here, Karen had asked, how obsessive are you about the actual pens and how it feels in your hand?
I'm pretty obsessive just because as a lefty, I need to make sure it's going to be right. This guy is one of my favorite pens. It wouldn't write for me at all when I first got it. I had to get it tooled by a nib meister to be able to really use it. The Kakuno, the Pilot Kakuno, I just started using. This one's a medium nib, and it writes beautifully for me out of the box. So there are some that write great, some write scratchy. This is an extra fine Estherbrook in the Coffee Monsters Co. And it's scratchy, so I will need somebody to tune it a little bit for me, not change the nib type or anything. But yeah, a lot of the thicker nibs don't work for me because lefties we drag it across the page.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, I'm obsessive about the feel of the pen in my hand when I am writing my manuscripts, because that has to be comfortable, has to be flowing, and it also has to look good. Which I know has nothing to do with the feel, but it's that whole writing experience for me. But yes, the pen has to feel good and has to be able to handle 2 to 3 hours of longhand writing. So for that, I'll tend to go with a slightly thicker pen, not a super chunky monkey. I've got some chunky monkeys, but because I find if they're too thin, like I've got a pen that I love, which is this one, but for long-term writing, it's too narrow and too small in my hand to be comfortable.
This is about the thickness I personally need to do long-term writing, or even like this guy. Anything thicker than that? Anything fatter than that?
That's a good question too. Posted or non-posted?
Both. I've done both. Sometimes I'll just hold it, but yeah, posting's good for longer term. But if it's short, this guy doesn't post. Yeah, this guy does not post. This has a medium nib on one side, which I use for headers or shorter stuff, and I've got a black on the other side on the finer point, which but I just hold it. It also helps me not fidget, in a way.
Yeah,
so I do both.
Sure. And I recently was trying on my my Kaweco Sport Classic, which is one of my everyday carry pens. I actually been trying to write with that posted lately to see if it made a difference for long-term writing. And it does a little bit, but it feels so awkward to me to post a pen. It's going to take more practice if I'm going to use that one for long writing sessions.
I don't have a Sailor pen yet, just because I've got other brands that I preferred.
Oh,
like I said, I even have a Bennu that I haven't.
The Sailor I have is the Sailor Kuzu, and that's pretty comfortable. So, and I've heard people say that if that's pretty comfortable in your hand, that the regular Sailor lines will be as well. I also have some pens that will just be way too unwieldy if I posted them because they're big, they're chunky monkeys. So, but yeah, like this is, and they could be a little too heavy. Like I love my brass M2, which I showed last time, but because it is brass, if I was to write with it capped, it just throws the balance off a little bit, and it's not as fun of a writing experience for me. But and then like what I found for my manuscript all is that I ended up going with A5. Originally I was using 8.5 by 11, larger, because I was like, okay, it's larger. But for carrying with me, which I have to do frequently, especially for traveling, if I'm on planes, the space, I'm more limited in space, and also weight and what I'm carrying. So I went with A5s, and I'm really very, very happy with that choice for my manuscripts.
And I'm not really sure what you mean by how the weight against your forefinger, but this is how, well, I have it all upside down, but this is how I hold my pen. I have never been stopped by TSA for fountain pens, but I've kind of stopped bringing fountain pens just because when I go away and on to places, I tend to write faster than I can cap and uncap for my color coding system. But at home, it's fountain pens. So yeah, no.
No, the fountain pens don't. The only time I was wondering if I would, and I packed things differently so it wouldn't be an issue, is that when I got a pen in Chicago and it was coming with its beautiful hard case box, I was afraid that box would look like some sort of questionable brick to them. So I packed it differently. I packed the pen in an individual pen sleeve. In the box, I traveled with open and kind of packed some of my clothes around it so it didn't look just like this big hot brick in my bag. But no, and I've not had a problem with the pressure in the cabin with pens leaking. But also recently, to mitigate that, is that I will tend to use a cartridge instead of a filled converter, because I can travel with a couple and I can always pull them out if I don't want to have it in the pen. But I haven't had a problem with the pens leaking. So
yeah, I tend to use the cartridges as well. So I guess little fountain pen knowledge. I'm stuck on my desk. There are two ways that you can fill a fountain pen. One of them is, this is what we mean by a cartridge. They're pre-filled. These are great for traveling, for if you don't want to mess with different, pens. This one happens to be black, but you can get different colors in it. This guy, Dream Pen, and we'll get back to that. This is a, God damn it. And I don't know where the cap went or the thing went. This is a cartridge. So this you can pre-fill with, your own inks. You can play with different colors and it just, goes on here. This happens to be a colorway called the Pillars of Eternity, and it is by Colorverse. So there's all my current pens. That first one, the Pen BBS, has two different sides. I was hoping for different colors, but apparently I'm going kind of goth, except for the honeycomb. But yeah, there are two different ways to fill your pens. And there's 5 because there's also the bladder. There's all sorts of other, there's other ways you can fill the
bladder,
pens.
there's a piston. Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, and I'm mostly right now just trying to find different types of nibs right now. I'm trying to get pens that have different nibs, like Omniflex, EF, or whatever, just to play with that. I haven't even started, talking about or even going into the idea of what do I want to, have as like the favorite pen. I've got a twist off that Amber has because she's been working on it for me. That literally, it's like it takes just cartridges. It's called the Benu, Bena Magic, and you twist the bottom and the thing comes up. And it was one of my favorite pens. But I know it stopped working for me for a bit. Yeah, it's cool. So there's all sorts of stuff, but I mean, again, we're getting away from the notebooks aspect. I guess we're gonna have to do a whole fountain pen.
We'll have to do a whole fountain pen thing, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then because I know I talk to you, like I don't necessarily use a specific tarot journal anymore, and that's because in my analog calendar, and I do everything that's in here is also in a digital calendar, and that's because I share it with my partner. But in here, like I will write down because I do the year ahead spread. So I will write down what that card is for that month. And in the beginning of it, I have what my card was for the year in the front of the calendar. So that's how I've kind of like combined them. And it also, again, frees me up from stressing out about going, oh, I haven't done a card a day or things like that.
This
just
is I,
because I probably use tarot every day, I don't necessarily want to write it down or feel like I need to write it down.
I do, but I've been pretty lax about it. I use stickers for different things. I've got little stamps for weather and my mood. Yeah, my mood's been pretty down in the dumps. If you know, you know. Um, but yeah, I try to do a little bit of things. My monthly focus is from the Sovereign Oracle by Teresa Pridemore. So the monthly focus for me this month is speaking, talking to people, trying to say things in groups, doing what I do. Yes, and stickers. Yeah, and then we have my Unicorn Rocks here makes daily tarot blankets. So
Yeah,
we'll have to have her on at some point to, do all
chat
that. But
about
yeah,
those. Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, I again, I thought this might be a good, planner that I could keep tarot and other thoughts in. This has become too constructive even for me, which is why I want to go to, one of my B6s here, because that way I can keep more notes or, daily inspiration stuff. But again, you don't know until you don't do this. I mean, I'm also trying to work on doing solo role-playing plannery type stuff. And I have a system, but I can't even put that in here because my thoughts on the tarot take every day. So again, I like the idea of having daily draws and another thing reflective in the same book. But obviously that isn't going to work for me this year, even though I've got, I'm doing this guy, which is a guided journal on, using the Wheel of Fortune as your daily, and then you pull a card, and answer questions versus some other, guided journaling, again, like those, like the a year and a day, every day witchcraft, type stuff that I also want to have. So my ideal is to have at this point, is to have a B6 where I can record a daily draw or a weekly, or the monthly stuff, and be able to do my, other stuff like this RPG idea or something else to it that I can, get myself back integrated into a holistic approach to mind, body, spirit, and then have my little playbooks, where I do one of these. I want to have maybe 2 to 3 books a year. That's it, because I'm finding that even though I have, these are used only when I have sessions. This is, a notebook I start when I go to a conference or something, online or in person, and then I refer to them, type of thing. So I recommend just, finding what size works for you. Like Amber has A5 for her playbooks, for her, project books. Her planners are a little bigger, it looks like 8.5 by 11. Is that what you're using this year?
Yeah, my planner. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just find what works for you, play around with it, even if you don't use it the entire year. I didn't know I was going to hate the 8.5 by 11 format until I used it last year. And I went, this sucks because this is too big for me, and then A5s, because I had always used A5s, but even A5 was still bulky for me. And when I found that B6, I glommed onto it and I've just run with it. Just
right.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm just trying, I've given Amber most of my stock of bigger stuff, A5s and above, just because, she uses that and will use that faster. Okay, you say hi there, Anne, but I'm wondering, do you want A5? Because if you want A5s, I've got some A5s I'll toss your way. Yeah, I thought she was a B6 girl, which I've given her a B6. Whether or not she's used it, I don't know. Goblin. As she says, I'm calling her out for stuff. But again, yeah, it's...
And I do have to say, I've got one more random book that I have a lot of the high strangeness stuff.
Oh, yes. Please tell us.
Or high strangest things that I want to research or look into more. So if there is something about cryptid lore that I want to follow up on, I'll put it in there. When there's new things are released that I want to about UAPs and things, I'll say, okay, I want to go back and I want to, look at this specific, podcast or YouTube channel about this information. to find out more. So that's just kind of very specific, but I don't really consider that part of my general ecosystem. It's just an extra book that I have for those particular things. So,
Yeah.
but I know we're coming up to the end of our show here, lady.
You're right. I know. I feel like we just barely scratched the surface, on all this. But, okay, Gremlin.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but this is so basically,
35.
these are the things that are supporting how Jaymi and I navigate through 2026. And I laugh because as many notebooks and things that I use, Jaymi is just like so much more. And it works for her. And that's the thing. And for some people, one book, one planner or something is what works. And honestly, for me, for years, that's what I did. I think that, it's like I might have one writing project, but that one writing project may really, in order for me to really keep things organized, that works for me, that writing project may take 4 or 5 books within that one project. So, and that's what I'm finding what works for me. So play with it, see what works for you. And there are buku fabulous YouTubers that really just
Oh my God.
talk about their ecosystems, and they are so dedicated to them. And the other thing to remember to give up, folks, is the aesthetic. Release the aesthetic. You don't have to use stickers.
Yeah.
You don't have to use calligraphy writing in all of your journals and all the things you do. Just do what works for you. And if making
look
them,
how messy this is.
right,
This is
and
kind of
making
messy.
them pristine and organized is what works for you, then please step into that and do it.
But it's yeah. I mean, it's great. I can't not with line stuff or gridded, as you can see, or even dot grid. Like most of mine have, the Wonderland stuff. They just started doing dot grid, but they have, grid paper, the tiny grids, which in the Jamber'ee makes my writing look like this. And where's the magnet one? The new B6 Estelle, is like this, but you don't have to use the little tiny grids. You can use, 2 of those if you want, or something else. Here's
Right.
that week. This is where I would do like maybe my tarot draws, and then this is where I do all the other shit, the other notations. In this undated classic, which I don't know if they're going to produce anymore. Again, here's that weekly for like tarot draws or appointments. And here's, the undated day that you can use for, daily notes or something. And even then they've, also got it lined out here that you can do, 3 columns if you want. So again, a lot of these undated folks, will do things really lightly for stuff. Like I rarely use the, like in this, I would not use the monthly layouts, or even the quarterly. Some places do quarterly. I would skip over all of this and then probably start just using the daily stuff. So that's like a good majority of, let's see here. That's, a good chunk of, this much of this book. But again, it really depends. When the show notes go out for this, I will be linking to all the things I use, and Amber will, we'll link to Atlas, we'll link to JetPens, we'll link to some of the places. Like there's a whole bunch of other good notebooks. Like I also use a brand called Stology. And that's for, again, project books. That's just notebook, because
right.
their
Like
paper.
Right. And I've got my travelers, and I use this. I keep this handy with me because I will frequently use this for sketching. Especially like if I've been watching a movie or I read something and I get an image in my mind to represent that or part of it, I'll throw it in here, but it's not an always thing, right? But I'd like to keep it handy. So, but like I said, we really do need to wrap this up, Miss Jaymi. We will be back on the 19th. We encourage everyone to stay curious, stay weird, embrace the strange. Embrace the magic.
And get foam pen all over your fingers, because
Get
that's
inked.
what we do here.
Get inked. That can be our sign out. Get inked.
Get inked, you all. It's 2026. Get inked. But yeah, play, have fun. And if you want, email us, or, in the comments, talk to us about it. And if you have our social, well, if you have the ways to connect with us, Signal or whatever, yeah, carry on the discussion. I love to talk about this stuff,
I'm
because
on Blue
I have,
Sky, so you can pop
yeah,
onto Blue Sky.
I'm on Mastodon, and I'm on Signal. You can, hammer me with questions. I'm happy. If you're local, I'm happy to show you my system. But yeah, I keep it to 4 colors: black, blue, green, and purple, and a gray highlighter.
All right, thanks for being here and joining us.
Yes, thank
we
you.
will see you in a couple weeks, and everybody be good. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.